Good morning, everybody. My name is Brianna. I am the incoming president for the CD Club, and I am here today with the wonderful Dr. Rosales.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank
How are
you all
you?
for waking up this early to watch this interview. I appreciate it. But I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So, to start off, may you please introduce yourself to the students who may not have met you yet, and what is your role here in the Child Development Department?
Yeah, so my name is Kevin Rosales, as you know. I am one of the newest faculty members in the department. This is my second year. I'm an assistant professor, but I also just consider myself another coyote like all of you. Alumni and graduated from here several years ago. But yeah, that's my role overall.
Nice. And then I heard from a little birdie that you are a foodie. So, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, it would be pasta for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a specific pasta in mind?
I like anything with shrimp in it, and mushroom. So if it has any of those two, that would be.
The first thing that comes to mind is an Alfredo,
Yes.
shrimp Alfredo.
Yes. So I could eat that. And if I had a second, it'd probably be tacos.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Any specific meat? Or...
I like asada and al pastor and cabeza would probably be my
Absolutely.
favorite.
I love cabeza. For me, it would have to be Korean barbecue.
Okay.
I literally just started eating it not even too long, like a few years ago, and ever since then I can't stop.
Yeah.
I love it.
You haven't gone back.
I haven't gone back. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, and then to get to know you a little bit more, can you walk me through your educational journey and key milestones?
Yeah, so I went to high school in the high desert, so I'm from Hesperia High School. Lived there for many years, and then applied to colleges and only got accepted at Cal State San Bernardino, so I just always see that was meant to be for me. So I did 5 years here where I did a dual major program, so it was psychology and child development, with an emphasis in early childhood. And then I applied for graduate school and went to Claremont Graduate University, which was a PhD program in applied cognitive psychology. And along the way, I got my master's, which enabled me to come here part-time and teach in the psych department and later on in the child development department. And so I think just educationally, even just going to college was a huge milestone for myself and for my family, really. So I was among the oldest, and in my classes, maybe some of you know this, but my grandma had 13 children, and so I have many aunts and uncles and many cousins. And so I'm the fourth oldest out of 37 total cousins, and I was the first one to go to college. So I think that for my entire family, that was a huge milestone. So, and of course everything else after that has also been, but I would say that's my journey, and just in general, all of it has really been a milestone for myself and my family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also relate to that as well. My great-grandma ended up having 11 children, and my grandma is the oldest of 11.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, with a 34-year age gap.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that works. But I do understand where you say, like, you have a lot of family members. And
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, so you are a first gen student, correct?
Yeah.
So what is one thing that you wish you would have known, like before, like applying to college, during your time here, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think earlier on, as opposed to later, I would have liked to know the role that faculty have in our lives as students. So, I was used to the whole high school dynamic where, you go to your classes and, that's kind of it. And yeah, they could be mentors to you, but here faculty do have a more pivotal role in getting us to the next step. And so now that I'm, faculty myself, I try my best to be what I wish I would have had in my first 2 years. So I think, just knowing the role that faculty do play, and I think getting involved a bit more earlier as opposed to later. So, for those of you who are involved in the CD Club, that's awesome stuff. And, involved in research and wanting to get involved in our department. So kudos to all of you doing that. So yeah, I think for the most part that would be it.
Okay, thank you. And then just for our audience out there, so the main point of these interviews is to introduce the professors, their research, and to show that we're all people here. They're not scary at all. Because I have heard like professors can be intimidating, but that's absolutely not the case. Professors like Dr. Rosales or even last week Dr. Chen, they're all here to support us and help, just wish us the best in our academic career. So don't be afraid to come and ask for help when you need it.
Yeah, and so I just want to let you know, Dr. Morris is a total role model for this, but I also have snacks in my office too, and even apple juice that I gave some students last week. So, you can always stop by and ask me questions, and, we can chat about anything and everything. So, yeah, I think that our department is very friendly in that way, and we like to get along with one another. So
please, no one's intimidating. I promise you all. Just come by, or even just say hi, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now I think we've reached the part where most of you are here for, which is your research.
Yeah.
So, can you please tell us about your research?
Yeah, so, my research could be categorized into two things. So I do applied work, which most of us in the department do, and also what we call basic theoretical research. And so I like to kind of marry the two or unify the two. So on the basic side, the more theoretical side, I try to examine how children think and adolescents and adults. So I really do cover the full lifespan. In grad school, of course, I did most of my work with adults, but in undergrad, I worked with a lot of adolescents and even younger children. And so I like to answer the question of how do we measure cognitive abilities best? And so with that, we test a host of different measures and try to apply statistics to then figure out, well, you know what, this measure is doing pretty well at measuring working memory, for example, which is what I deal with a lot. And this other measure isn't really doing as well as we could. So it's answering those basic questions, because at the end of the day, having solid measures that get at, how humans think in general is important. So that's on the basic side. On the applied side, we try to develop and implement interventions. And so a lot of that work is done together with the BFAST lab on campus, which is run by Dr. Wong. And so that side of it is going out into the schools and, figuring out how we can help kiddos in the classroom that may have some hiccups, overcome those hiccups through computerized training. So essentially, kiddos anywhere from second grade up through high school, engage in iPad-based games that are designed to work out some of those cognitive abilities that are tied to school performance. Another part of the applied work that I want to do, so it's not happening yet, but that is working with student athletes, right? And trying to figure out how sports are impacted by cognition. And so figuring out what makes those top athletes and figuring out what is it that they need mentally to get to the next step in their athletic career. And so that's some of the work that I want to get at. So that I would say that just in a nutshell, I'm a cognitive person. I like to, just understand how abilities are structured and how we can boost them in different contexts like the school or academic setting and, of course, the athletic setting as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And it does look like we have a question here.
Yes.
So this person wrote, is that how they measure thorough state testing?
Yeah. So I think state testing, really what they're trying to get at is the content, right, that kids are acquiring through the year and knowing whether that's, something that they've mastered by the end of the year. And so testing is one way to get at that. And so those kinds of tests are, academic-oriented performance tests. Those are, of course, based on cognitive abilities, right? But the tests that I work with most of the time are what we call lab-based. So we design them in the lab based on what we know about the human mind. And then we try to figure out how we can tweak those to get, better assessments of human thinking. and then of course correlate them to these other things like state testing or classroom testing, SAT, GRE, etc. So they're related, but not exactly the same. But yeah, great question.
Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. And if for some reason I miss you or something like that, then just keep spamming the chat. Annoy us with the questions. We would love to have Dr. Rosales answer them.
Yes.
Awesome. And then you said that you were a cognitive researcher, correct? So, what inspired you to pursue a career in cognitive development, and why are you so passionate about it?
Yeah, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but my little brother is really my motivation. My sister and I have been a little bit closer in age and a little bit more similar when it comes to being academically more motivated. And so my brother had challenges with that earlier on. One, the motivation piece, but also the attention piece. And so my brother has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or otherwise known as ADHD. And so earlier on, seeing him struggle in the classroom was such a big drive for me, because at least for me, it's not that it came easier, but I just love school, and therefore I think that I just wanted to put a little bit more effort in doing better in school and grades and things of that sort. And so seeing, my own brother not have that experience was very motivating for me. So I knew that I wanted to do something related to school performance. And initially I did want to be a school psychologist, and then I was rerouted in a different direction, but my heart is still in wanting to see students achieve everything that they could. And so, yeah, it really does for me come down to family and doing what I do and helping others, reach the most that they can is important for me. Yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing to hear, honestly. Yeah. And then I feel the same way. My younger siblings are my inspiration as well. So I'm gonna be honest, when I first came to child development or started studying child development, I only thought like my only option was teacher or special education teacher. So I was thinking, okay, I'll just do special education teacher, and then I transferred here. I found like there were so many more options. So now I'm like, okay, wow. I am changing my trajectory a bit as well. So like how you said. So I'm like, okay, yeah.
And I think that's the cool thing about college, that you learn a lot about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if some of you know this, but I registered here as a pre-med major. I thought that I wanted to be an optometrist. And so I just thought that it was cool how they examine your eyes and all the technology that they use. And now I'm studying children. So it's a very different, path, but that happens. And it's part of the personal growth that we go through in college. So,
Yeah, thank you so much. And then let's see. So, how do you approach designing studies or experiments in your cognitive development research?
Yeah, so I love research in general. And, one of the classes that I teach is research methods, and I think I saw Monique in here, and so she's in my class, and so are you, in about an hour from now. So I do a lot of correlational work. So a lot of what I study is, correlating different cognitive abilities and correlating those with, real world performance, like I've mentioned before, and, academics and sports and those kinds of things. And so the way I go about designing a study is just trying to get the best, most accurate tests of cognition. So besides working in memory, I also study attention, executive functions like inhibition and updating and things of that nature, intelligence. And so I tried to get a battery of tests, is what we call it, or a package of tests. And, I sample large groups of people. So I think that at the minimum for most of my work is about 100 people, and the more the better. And we just, in the lab administer, those tests, and then afterwards try to figure out statistically what's going on with all of those tests and see if we can tell a story, right? If we can tell a story about what cognitive abilities are more related to one another compared to others, and the clusters that start to form. And so I do a lot of correlational. With the intervention piece, though, the applied work, that would be more experimental. So a lot of pre-test, post-test, right? So take baseline measures, implement the intervention, and then get a post-test measure of where they are afterwards. So I would say that those are the designs that I work with, and that a lot of our faculty also work with as well. So.
Awesome. And then are there any challenges that you experience with this?
Yeah, so one is I would say recruitment. I think it's torture for people to come in and do 3 hours of testing, even though they're across different sessions. So it is a little bit difficult to try to get folks to come in for that long. And then I think on top of that, sometimes my research is a little bit more abstract, and so getting students to want to be involved in the lab is a little bit challenging at times, but
right.
I think that with time, I'm newer here, and so as students get to learn more about my work and what it means,
hence why we're doing this.
Yes, that'll be helpful. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, and then let's see. So we're almost done, guys. And then just as a reminder, if you're here for the CD 2200 class, and you're here for the extra credit, go ahead and type in your name below. We'll go ahead and screenshot and send it to Dr. Wilcox. Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course.
Let's see. So what do you find the most rewarding about teaching and or researching about cognitive development?
Yeah, so for me, it's being able to put myself in the shoes of my students and kind of seeing like their eyes widen up when they get something or understand something, because being first gen, there's a lot of things that I didn't understand about just the academic world, research of course much less, and how a university functions. And so being in the classroom and just seeing smiles or those nods, right, things connecting, or maybe folks being able to relate to experiences that I may be telling in the classroom, to me is the most rewarding. And it's that sense of maybe empowerment or being relatable to all of you. It just makes my day every day. And so I think that is special to me, which is why it meant everything to be able to come back here, which I consider the place that gave me all of the tools to be able to go out and be able to do what I do now. So I think that for the most part.
And I'll be honest, everything that I learned in your class is so helpful. Like, I honestly thought I wouldn't have been able to gain the knowledge that I have right now. Yeah. Like, literally, I talk to my coworkers so much about it, like research methods and all that, and they're like, Brianna, you need to calm down with that. And I'm like, but it's interesting.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That means a lot. So.
Thank you. Let's see. And then we're actually almost done. So if you guys have questions or anything that you guys would like to ask Dr. Rosales, feel free to type it in the chat. Or if you want to wait till we get to that part, then go ahead. So, you are part of a research lab here on campus, correct? Mm-hmm. Are you currently looking for students to assist you in your research lab?
Yeah, so it's a big, in all caps, yes. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you aren't interested, that is something that I'm looking forward to. So, like I said, just shoot me an email. You don't need to have any requirements at all. As long as you have a general interest in cognition, at any level really, or even just academic performance or any of the things that I mentioned, just please feel free to reach out. I like to, sit down with my students and just chat about, potential interests that you may have. I can take my work in different areas given your interests. So really, my lab is for you all. It's hopefully a home that you can find at least some intellectual satisfaction in. So, please just reach out and then we can work together to help you, at least try to get to the next level or, find some, something that you're interested in doing. Okay. And if not, I can point you in faculty that do and might do cooler work than me, like Dr. Morris's work. So just reach out. One thing that I want to do slip in really quick is I'm the director of the honors program. And so the honors program is a wonderful opportunity that we have in our department to get those of you that want to get a little bit more research experience in your resumes. And so what we do is we pair you up with a mentor which is essentially full-time faculty in our department. And we pair you so that you do research for a year with that faculty member. And the advantages to that are many, and the costs are very little. You might have to slip in a class in your schedules, which I know are already busy. But if you're really motivated to want to go to grad school or gain research experience, please, reach out to me. I will be opening up the application window for the next academic year, actually very soon here within the next week or so. So if you're interested in the honors program or just want to touch base with me just to learn more, please do so. Okay.
Amazing. And then it does look like we have we have a question. So thank you, Michelle. They said, I'm actually taking applied research methods in spring. What should they expect?
Yeah, so I think for research methods is, just getting the basic principles of what research is, the different designs. We talk about observational methods, experimental methods, correlational methods, quantitative and qualitative approaches. And so we touched on a little bit of everything. So it's really an introduction to research methods. And in that, I like to weave in a lot of examples that in part are driven by my students, right? The jobs that you may do already that might already incorporate research methods. And so, I like to just be real with all of you and, teach the class like I'm telling a story and, trying to help you all be related to your content. And so, to the content that we're covering. So I think that you should expect to one, have fun, and two, hopefully walk away with, much more knowledge on research and what it is and how you can get involved in it.
Yeah, and I love, speaking as a student in his class, I do believe he does such a great job at explaining everything in the class. He provides examples that we could connect to, like he stated. So if we are, for example, we have some students in the class who are, they work in ABA or any of that. Yeah. You find a way to connect it into your lectures, and I think that's amazing because then I could actually connect it. So I'm like, oh, okay, so like if someone does A, B, and C, then it leads to,
awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. And then we are actually going to the final question. So if you guys have any last minute questions that you guys may have, then feel free to type it in chat. So the final question I have for you is, do you have any closing words of wisdom or advice you would like to impart with the students?
I would say, and maybe you've heard this many times before, but always remember why you're doing what you're doing. I think that when, we're all human, we're all students, we're all employees, and, some of us parents, not myself, but some of you all may be parents, and sons and daughters and so on. And I think that sometimes life can get a little bit overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you remember why you're here and why you chose to come here and finding, that day-to-day at least somewhat fulfilling, and just remembering that, you are here for a reason and we all have a purpose, I think. And so, as long as you keep that in mind, you'll get through, what you need to get through to just, achieve your goals and purpose. And so I think, just never lose sight of that. I know that papers are important and exams are important, but, at the end of the day, we're all human and we're really here to be connected to one another. So just remember that, and I think that will take you a long way. So
awesome. Thank you so much for your time. That's all the questions I have. Let's see if we have any in the chat. So Monique actually submitted a question. Thank you, Monique. The research that you are involved in now, is it going into the children's classroom? If I'm reading that right, Monique. If not, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. So I think I understand your question, Monique, and if not, you can, tell me in class. But yeah, so through the BFAST program, right? So I am associated with Dr. Wong's lab. We do go into child classrooms, mainly elementary school, and some of what we call day schools in the county of San Bernardino. So we do go into the classroom and work with kiddos in that setting. For my more basic theoretical work, that is all on campus, working with college students. And so, two different settings. So I try to have a little bit for everyone. So if you're interested in that, just let me know.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and then we'll wait to about 2 more minutes if you guys have any final questions, comments. And yeah, let's see. We have already students saying thank you so much for your
Of course,
time.
thank all of you for being so wonderful and part of this department. So I appreciate that.
And then just so I can share a little bit about the CD faculty interviews. Dr. Rosales is the last one for this semester. We will continue on in spring of 2025. So if you guys have any professors, we will ultimately get through everyone here, but if there's a professor you guys would like to see us interview sooner rather than later, you guys are more than welcome to DM us on our Instagram. We have our Discord channel, or just find a way to contact us.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And then it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Everyone is saying thank you so much for your time, and we have a lot of people saying they're so excited to take your class in the future.
I'm excited to have all of you, so looking forward to that.
So thank you so much for your time.
Awesome, thank you.
So again, my name is Bree. This is Dr. Rosales. This is the CD Faculty Spotlight interview for the Child Development Department. And thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you. See you guys around.
We're gonna